Sega has come out with the open network test for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, and by a long shot, it is way better than Sonic, Team Sonic Racing, sorry. Because that game was really disappointing after Sega All-Stars Racing Transform. That was such a fun game, by the way. I played that as a kid, and it was so much fun, bro. Would definitely recommend it. You know, rewarded for good racing, interesting items, overall a really interesting game, and you feel so fast, bro. You know, it is not for the weak. 6-year-old me was tweaking trying to play that game. I sucked, but regardless of that, it is a good fun game. You know, really would recommend trying out the open network test for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. You know, first of all, it's absolutely genius to let the person in first place choose what the track looks like for the rest of the race, because while most people would think about that and think, it's whatever, it is really cool. I'm not gonna lie, I have never seen a game try that, and that is so cool, because believe it or not, I like interesting new stuff in games. Why is there a fly on my monitor? Bug off. But yeah, it is an interesting formula for a kind of convoluted genre. It's basically just Mario Kart, and then you have F1, but that's more literally F1 racing oriented. Whereas this, it's a casual racer. You know, you can play it with your friends, you can play it with your family, you can play it with whoever, and you know, your partner. And it's not hard to get into, but you do get rewarded for being in first place. Online, not for the weak of heart. Got into first place, ended up in like last place 7 seconds later. It was crazy. I was getting hunted down. It is not for the weak of heart. It really isn't. But I would definitely recommend it because it's a fun experience. You know, navigating that and trying not to get, you know, absolutely brutally murdered mid-race. You know, good handling, good everything. That is all I really have to say. I would recommend you try it out. There's a lot of big YouTubers on it, and a lot of the Sonic community has agreed it is a good game. And without further ado, I really don't have much more to say. You know, it has just shifted kart racing and just racing games, you know, casual racing games as a whole, because for so long it's just been Mario Kart. And this might be a hot take, but I'm just really bored of Mario Kart. It's the same thing every year, and like, yeah, you know, you might have 2 new tracks, and the DLC, but you have warranty. Whatever. No. There's a really good Mario Kart YouTuber. I cannot remember his name. He talks about skips and Mario Kart speedrunning. He is interesting, but the game itself really isn't. I just get bored out of my mind watching it and playing it. It's just so slow and boring. It's too catered towards kids, and there's none of that divide where, you know what, I'm a grown adult, or I'm nearly a grown adult. It's not Cyphesk, that's a different guy. Whatever. I don't think I'll find him, but it is such an interesting and unique take on the racing genre, and has done something new in a space that's typically dominated by Nintendo, and Nintendo dominated because they're Nintendo. You're going to get sued if you do anything they don't like. Please don't sue me, Nintendo. It's a joke. And it's a good game, and I just can't really put it into words. I'm not really good at articulating a lot of my thoughts. I don't do a lot of it, that's probably why, but it's actually fairly interesting to, you know, go out and try something new from a company who's known for kind of odd stuff, because Sega kind of struggle to stay in a, you know, consistent streak of good games. You know, they've been plagued by, you have a good game like Sonic Unleashed, and then you have Sonic Colors, which some people like, some people don't. It's a mixed one. They'll go from good game to like 4 bad games in a row. You know, you had Generations, and then somehow 2 games later you had Sonic Forces, and Sonic Forces, one of the most boring games in the series. It was my first Sonic game, so obviously I'm blinded by nostalgia there. But watching the gameplay, you could hand the controller to a blind person, and at least in the Sonic levels, you wouldn't really see him struggle. it's too automated until you get to the end, and at that stage, like, there's no reward. Free speed, you can't really aim it very well. It's just no reward and no risk. Most people would prefer high risk, high reward gameplay, you know? And, you know, God forbid you actually have to control the character and navigate through a level. I know, terrible suggestion. Let's not cater to someone who isn't old enough to use a controller. All jokes. I love Sega as a company, and I love Sonic as a series. You know, as much as I don't like that specific game, even though it was my first, it's whatever. It's a game in the Sonic history. Can't do anything about it now. Too late. It's been out, but whatever. It was its own game. And Sega, with Shadow Chins, and then Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, I have a feeling they're actually on a good streak for now. And you know, if they're not, Sonic community will fix it. They fixed 06. They fixed Unleashed not being able to run on anything because somehow they made a game too advanced for the hardware of its time. That is still such a flex, by the way. It wasn't the game that was the problem. See, Sonic Unleashed was buggy because the consoles couldn't handle how good the game was. Like, from a developing standpoint. If they'd released it on PC would have run it grand. You know, you got Project 06, you got so many different things. You know, making up for a lack of, I suppose, structure and bug fixes. Because, you know, back in 2006, when the dinosaurs were around, you couldn't update a game after it was released. You can now, thankfully. Thank the Lord, because you can actually play the games. But, yeah, I believe Sega are on a good streak, and this game is really fun. I think I went off on a rant there. I don't really care. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, you know, comment your opinions. If I went off on a rant that didn't really make sense, say, KSG Jack, you donut, I'm unsubscribing. Your videos suck. Leave a dislike. Unsubscribe. No, I'm joking. Please do just comment your thoughts, leave a like, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to hear me yap about games and sometimes play them. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Also forgot to say God bless you. I hope you have a lovely evening, morning, day, night, whatever. And yeah, thank you for watching.